It was a Saturday in the middle of the summer, and my mom, my brother Kevin, and I, we were trying to decide what film we would see that day. And my brother Kevin, he wanted to see Transformers, the movie, and I wanted to see Aliens. And my mom had to decide on what film we were going to see. And in the end, I was surprised that my mom actually agreed with me, and we saw Aliens that day. And I remember how Kevin was like kind of disappointed that we didn't see Transformers the movie. But I'm pretty certain after we had saw Aliens, like he was not disappointed because he loved the movie after we saw it, and so did I. Aliens definitely was a transformative experience for me in terms of like um, watching movies. Um, there was me before Aliens and me after Aliens as being like, a lover of film. Aliens was the first horror movie I ever saw in a theater. Aliens was also the first um, modern horror film, at least at that time, that I ever saw. Because all the horror films I'd seen at that point, they were like old movies, like, Universal movies, RKO movies, Hammer films. Like, I don't remember seeing any modern horror films at that point. It was just all like, old stuff that was like safe to watch for kids. And Aliens wasn't that. Aliens scared the shit out of me when I saw it. It is the first and only movie that I saw where I closed my eyes. Um, Watching it, like the most horrific stuff. Um, it was just like, I don't know. It was really exhilarating, ultra intense ride. Like I had no way to prepare for Aliens. I thought Aliens were just gonna be this horror movie, and like I didn't have any fear going into Aliens. Like I did have like, even though I didn't see any modern horror films at that point. Like I remember horror films a day in which I I wanted to see, but at the same time, it was like dreading seeing them, like Return of the Living Dead. I really wanted to see that film, but I also at the same time was dreading seeing it because of the Tar Man. There were also other horror films at that time that I really wanted to see, but at the same time, like I dreaded seeing it, like I was scared of seeing it. I didn't feel any fear at all going into Aliens. I don't know, maybe because I didn't see what the no, and actually I did get a chance what the xenomorph looked like, but um, maybe I don't know, for some reason it just didn't, I don't know, put me at unease. I guess I don't know, but because I had seen what the xenomorph had looked like, at least I believe I did by seeing a scene of Alien, the original Alien, on a piece on Entertainment Tonight. But I had no clue of what the aliens looked like in Aliens. I had no clue that of the Queen. I didn't even know the Queen even existed. Like I just pretty much went into this film blind. Um, had no idea what it was about. Like nothing. I just knew that there were aliens in this movie. There was an actress named Sigourney Weaver that was in it, and that was it. And I knew that was a sequel to Alien. Um, but yeah, Aliens. That experience was like one of the great experiences of my life, watching Aliens on the big screen. Um, but it wasn't just the greatness of Aliens that made my first time viewing of it super memorable. It was also like what happened when I was watching Aliens, because where I was seated, there was this couple that was not too far away. I think it was like maybe, I don't know if they were behind me or beside me. I can't remember, but they were very close to me though, now that I think about it. And from time to time, like, I don't know if it was the guy. I think it was. I think he was like telling his girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe they were married. I don't know. But he was like telling her what was going to happen. Like he obviously had seen the film before, because he was like saying like, "Oh, this is gonna happen. That's gonna happen." I was like really upset because what he said happened, actually did happen. Like he was saying things that was gonna happen in the movie before they happened, and I was like really annoyed by this. And I was really, really small at the time, so I should have just told my mom, like, hey, this asshole is spoiling the movie for me. But I didn't say anything. I just kept quiet and just, from time to time, kept being annoyed by this fool who kept, spoiling the film for me. And he didn't do it like too many times, but once was more than enough. And he did it certainly more than once. And yeah, I was definitely like kind of pissed off at that. But ultimately though, it didn't ruin my experience. Aliens was just too grand, was just too great for pretty much anything to ruin that first time experience. Yeah, and I also remember like, also just like after we saw Aliens, like walking outside, like exiting the theater in the lobby floor, and seeing like a cutout, a huge cutout for what would be one of my favorite films of all time, and that was for David Cronenberg's The Fly. And I remember there was this huge cardboard cutout, I think of the teleporter machine in the film, and I'm like, holy shit! Like they're remaking this movie, because I just found out about The Fly that year because I had gotten a book from the school library about old horror films, and The Fly was one of the films in this book, and it fascinated me to this movie about a man that turned into a fly. I hadn't seen The Fly at that point, the original Fly, but I knew about his existence, and then seeing this at the time like brand new remake and just this captivating image of like this teleporter that looks something like a beehive actually when you think about it, of what typically like a beehive is supposed to like traditionally look like. And yeah, I'm like, I gotta see that movie. But anyway, like it was just like an incredible time like watching Aliens. And I think we even went to Central Park that day, I'm not too sure, but we had taken pictures of it. But unfortunately, the pictures from that day, like the film a couple weeks later got destroyed. Somehow the camera was opened while the film was inside the camera, and it was exposed to light, and the pictures were destroyed. And like that's like one of the sucky moments. I would have loved to have images from that day, from that amazing day of seeing one of the greatest films ever made, one of the greatest sequels ever made. But alas. After watching Aliens, I was just instantly like super obsessed with the movie. I mean, very few films I've seen in my life I had developed the same type of like extraordinary obsession I had as with that I had with Aliens. I remember like I got this big like drawing pad, and the very first thing I drew in it was aliens. At least what I thought what the aliens look like. Like these things look nothing like the aliens in the film. I still try my best to like draw them, and I don't know if I was drawing me as like one of the soldiers battling the aliens or something. I didn't draw Ripley though. But yeah, like it was this image. I remember like it was yesterday, like being on the floor with this drawing pad that seemed to be almost as big as me, and just drawing in it. And like yeah, I was like just anything Sigourney Weaver was in, I would try to watch it. An interview that she did, I would try to watch it or read it. Yeah, just like anything that was aliens, like I don't know. Like I remember once, like in school, like this one kid who bullied me. I talked about. I don't know if I should even say this, but I remember talking about like telling somebody I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna punch him, and then like my fist is gonna come out of his stomach like the aliens and aliens. I remember the kids all were just laughing at that statement. Yeah, I got really obsessed with this film and stuff. For some reason, I'm just not sure why. Like, as much as I was obsessed with this movie, when I had the opportunity to go ahead and rent it, I didn't. Like, I don't know why. It's just like usually when I saw a film that I just liked, as soon as I had an opportunity to rent it back then, um, I went ahead and I rented it. And there'd be times that I would rent it, like, or someone would rent it more than once, and I just didn't do that for Aliens, and I just don't know why. It makes no sense to me. Um, and renting it was the only way I could see it at that point. It wasn't like, hey, I'm not renting it because I can watch a cable. We didn't have cable at that time, and there was no other means like to watch it besides renting it. Yeah, that's I don't know. But eventually, I did see Aliens again a few years later on when it aired on Channel Two for the first time. I think it was on a Tuesday, and it was in a 3 hour time slot, and they showed not just like basically they showed this extended cut of Aliens, and it had scenes that was never before seen, like with Ripley discovering she had a well, not Ripley discovering, but the audience discovering that Ripley had a daughter who um, who grew old and died while Ripley was in suspended animation for 57 years. And there was other scenes like with the robotic sentry guns that wasn't in the theatrical cut. And I'd only see Aliens once before I watched it again on CBS. And so I thought these films were well. I didn't know at the time that these scenes were deleted scenes. I thought they were always in the movie because I only saw the movie once, and so my memory of it was a bit foggy. So I thought these scenes were always inside the film. And I discovered later on when I actually got a copy of Aliens, maybe a few months later on VHS, that I discovered that these scenes that were inside the film that I mentioned, the deleted scenes, were in fact deleted scenes. 'Cause I remember watching it on my VHS copy of Aliens. Like, wait a minute, like where's the scene with Ripley, seeing the picture of her daughter? Where's the scene with the robot guns? And I was just, oh, okay. They discovered that these were scenes that were cut from the theatrical cut, and basically it's a thing that networks would do from time to time if they had a film that was too long to fit inside the 2 hour normal 2 hour time slot that was allotted for movies that usually came on television back then. Like Aliens was too long for a 2 hour time slot, too long for a 2.5 hour time slot, but too short to fill up a 3 hour time slot. So sometimes networks would go ahead and they would include scenes that were cut, you know, um, during the broadcast airing to fit whatever time they allowed it to have. And I thought that was fascinating. I didn't know that was a real thing. So it was sad to not see those scenes anymore. And by that time, because I had Aliens on my VHS, I erased the version that I recorded from television from the CBS airing. Man, I miss those scenes. And a few years later, Aliens had the extended cut released on Laserdisc, and I remember being so obsessed with getting a copy of the Laserdisc version of the extended cut special edition of Aliens, but I didn't have a Laserdisc player, and I really want a Laserdisc player. I remember seeing things about Laserdisc, and the picture quality was better, the audio was better. It had these extras on there about the making of the film, this and that. It was just so exciting, to see all these extra bonuses, that came with the movie, um, that you didn't get with VHS or rarely ever got with VHS. And but yeah, I didn't know anybody had a Laserdisc player. Most people didn't have a Laserdisc player, and it would be many years before I ever get to see the special edition of Aliens. And I remember once I did have this chance where I could have had it. I knew somebody at that time, knew some people who they heard how much I loved Aliens and stuff like that, and they say, hey, we could go ahead and make you a copy of the movie, from the Laserdisc, put it onto VHS. And I got so excited, oh my god, oh my god. But it didn't happen. Not because that they, didn't fulfill their promise. It's just I don't know, like I could have had an opportunity to say yes, and I didn't, or I don't know. Basically, it wasn't totally in my hands. Me having this VHS copy, like if it was completely up to me, I would have said yes. But ultimately, it wasn't up to me, and so I didn't have the copy to fill. And I remember that just like really like pissed me off. That it really deeply upset me. Like I could have finally had a copy of this film because at the time, this is around like when Alien 3 came out, and there was this book from Dark Horse Comics called Aliens Newt's Tale. And by this point, I had known a lot more about the deleted scenes from Aliens, and there was this scene that the scene where we're seeing how the basically Newt's parents, her brother, and how they come across the ship from the original Alien, the derelict ship where the chamber was and the space jockey, and their parents and the brothers ultimately get face hugged, and yeah, so Newt's Tale was like expansion of that scene, and so it was a comic book like adaptation. But yeah, like I was really fascinated to see more stuff from Alien, stuff I've never seen before, scenes I've never seen before, and I thought my opportunity was blown, like like forever. Like, oh no, this is my last chance and stuff like that to ever to see these deleted scenes, and the best I could do is like read, Aliens Newt's Tale, to see this deleted stuff, which Newt's Tale again was like an expansion of those scenes. Like the stuff that's inside Newt's Tale was not inside the movie. How the aliens actually took over um, LV 426. Like I think it was called Haley's Hope. That colony, that complex. Um, and for years I thought that the deleted scenes actually showed that stuff. So I remember when I finally did get a chance to see the special edition of Aliens on DVD, and I was super excited. Like, yes, finally! After like at that point, it was like, shit, nearly 10 years. Um, when I found out about these other scenes, and I thought, oh yes, now I'm finally gonna see how these aliens take over. Haley's Hope, the complex, and it wasn't in there. And I remember being like bitterly disappointed. Like, yeah, they showed this stuff with like how that was inside Newt's Tale with the father getting face hugged. Um, yeah, they showed the scene where the Newt's parents came across the derelict spaceship from the first Alien, and how the father came out of that ship and he was face hugged. They showed that scene, which was replicated in the comic, but all the stuff for the aliens, taking over the facility, Hadley's Hope, like that was not in there, and I was expecting that, even though in hindsight I didn't read anything that said that those scenes were actually in the movie with the aliens taking over. I believed that there was in that, and yeah, like when I first watched the special edition, I was like, I thought it was fantastic, but at the same time, it's also like, just deflated because it wasn't in there. But yeah, the special edition of Aliens is fantastic. It's my preferred way to watch Aliens. I still love the theatrical cut of Aliens, and I can see why some people prefer that to the special edition. But to me, like the special edition is like the perfect representation of that story. Like I can't imagine watching Aliens without seeing the scene with Ripley finding out about the whereabouts of her daughter and how heartbreaking it is. And it definitely gives more depth. Knowing that Ripley had a daughter before and lost her, it gives it more depth with the relationship between her and Newt later on. It gives like, the urgency's still there with her trying to rescue Newt. One thing about Aliens is like, in the theatrical cut, like there's so many aliens, like and you just wonder like how like all these aliens didn't just come and try to attack them during like I guess the down moments, like try to attack the colonial marines. If there were so many of them, why did they just after the attack in the hive, it seemed like they pretty much just stopped trying to attack them until like the climactic scenes between the colonial marines and aliens, and the special edition shows that the aliens did try to keep on trying to attack the marines, but the marines were able to whittle their numbers down with the robot sentry guns. That just makes more sense. And just other just little extra scenes that I think just adds more layers to the film, more complexity, more depth. Um, like, to me, like, once you watch the special edition, like, you can't go back to theatrical cut. Yes, the theatrical cut, like, the pacing is faster and all that. But I don't know. I just think all the stuff that was cut out, which Cameron did not want cut out. This wasn't like the stuff was cut out because Cameron wanted it cut out. The studio basically like forced him, like, nah, you're gonna cut down this movie. It was one thing if Cameron wanted it cut out, but he didn't. And Cameron was right to reinsert the deleted footage back, because it just makes for a more fuller and enriching film. But just like Alien, everything in like every element of Aliens is masterful. Like, the performances are just legendary. Easily one of the greatest casts ever put together. Cast of characters, like it's amazing. Aliens, the Sigourney Weaver's performance is just about as good as performances can get. I like how she goes ahead and like, I don't want to say elevate or step up her game from the first movie, because she is perfect in that first movie, but just shows a new dimension to Ripley that is just engaging to what we saw in the first film, and still feels like the same character. Like it's expansion. It's an enthralling expansion of the character, from the first film, and Sigourney Weaver just rocks this movie, and just the ultimate badass in this film, but also just the ultimate human, for good and this and that, and yeah, she definitely deserved that Oscar and Oscar nomination for this film. She should have won the Oscar for this film, whatever. But yeah, Sigourney Weaver is just dynamite in this movie. Michael Biehn is just dynamite in this movie. Bill Paxton is just dynamite in this movie. The one-liners he has in this film. I mean, the whole entire performance. But game over, man. You put her in charge. Just, I don't know, like he's just he's spectacular in this movie. Bill Paxton, rest in power, and Lance Henriksen, Jeanette Goldstein, Paul Reiser, Carrie Henn, Rico Ross, Mark Ralston, I think. I don't know, just everyone in this movie is I don't know. It's everyone in this movie is amazing. Everyone is just amazing. The special effects by Stan Winston is just. This is the first film I ever saw with the work by Stan Winston, and it is just it's phenomenal. Like the work he did in this film, and others who have contributed to this film, the work is just. It's classic. It's classic stuff that still holds up amazingly to this day, particularly that alien queen, the queen alien. Oh my god, it still looks real. Like, it still looks real. I don't see any, like just false spots. Like, I don't know, just it just looked like they created, like, it looked like an actual, big alien like creature. And when I discovered how they made the alien queen, the queen alien, like, work on the big screen, it's like, wow. Like, it's in one way it's like so simple, but it's just so supremely effective. Just like, they definitely deserve, like, I think it did win for best special effects aliens, if I'm correct. I know it was definitely nominated for best visual effects, and I believe it did win. But yeah, it's just all-time great work. The score by James Horner, oh my god, that score. There was a period of time, like through the 90s, where like multiple movie trailers just ripped off the music from Aliens. This one theme in particular, I wish I remembered the name of the theme. I think it's called Futile. It's Futile something. I'm sorry, I can't remember the actual name of the piece of music that people kept on ripping off from Aliens. But yeah, it's just it's masterful. The thing is that score, like James Horner, that came up with that, um, perfect score for the film, like so quickly. Like he was like rushed into making that score. Like he didn't have the ability to spend much time on it. And I heard later on that James Horner had issues with the score. Like I don't know how, because the score is flawless. It's beautiful. One of the best pieces of music ever produced. But I get it from the point of view of, the person who creates the work. I get it. I understand that, like, everybody else might think this work you did was fine, but you're like, you can see all the flaws or perceived flaws. And but like James Horner had, again, like I can't speak for him, of course, but like he had nothing to feel like disappointed about. Like, I don't know, that score is just, it's fantastic. Everything about Aliens is awesome. And of course, the script and direction by James Cameron. I mean, really, what I can say that no one else hasn't already said about, his writing and helming of the film. But yeah, just, it's the James Cameron's work on Aliens is legendary. Aliens is not just a um, grand classic in its own right, but it's also like spawned some great stuff, like some great comics, like the Dark Horse comics, toys. I remember the Kenner toys I got when I was a kid, and other action figures over the years from other companies. Um, some great games. Uh, and other great collectibles like Aliens, is the gift that keeps on giving. I know the chances of James Cameron ever coming across this video and actually watching it is pretty much zero, but you never know. And I like to tell him and anyone else who worked on Aliens, um, just thank you so much for helping to thank you so much for creating this movie, putting your best efforts into this movie that has gone ahead and like just changed the way like I view cinema, what cinema was capable of. Like, it's just, I don't know, just definitely was life altering watching this film, and the effect this had on me and continues to have on me. People, I mean, this film is definitely partially responsible for you know me wanting to be a filmmaker, and create like just certain types of stories and this and that, and helping to expand my imagination. And yeah, just thank you all so much for making this movie a reality and making it something special to me. Thank you all.